Yeah, that let's go into that 12-minute sequence though, because like that's probably what a lot of people are going to talk about because it was like a
Yeah.
12-minute fake one shot, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Like a la, Old Boy, or like the hallway brawl in Old Boy, or the hallway brawl in Daredevil. These like long take fight action sequences and stuff. And I think the only input I want to have or put into that is I could have done without the 12 minutes because of the fact that some of the VFX transitions stood out to me and took me away from the action. So
Mm.
there were a couple shots in there where I was like, just cut to another scene. Like, no need to force. It felt forced. Some of the cuts there, in order for them to actually make the 12 minutes work. But that was my only issue with that 12-minute sequence. It was exhilarating and thrilling, though. It was
Yeah.
fucking awesome, that fight sequence between the right hand man and Tyler, or AKA Chris Hemsworth.
So I'm on you. I mean, I'm with you on this because as someone who tries to pay more attention to how they made films or how they made like a specific scene, it was bothersome for me to realize that, oh, this could like, this is where they did this, and this is like, this is the fake, like, especially when, for example, they zoom in the back of a person and then it opens to like another. I mean, you follow that person's back, and so sorry, I was a little bit unclear here, but basically what I'm trying to say is that it was a little bit disturbing for me when I could pinpoint the parts that to me it was like fake, as you said. But I have to be honest with you. I was watching this with my with Naveed and our other friend, our roommate, and they were like their eyes were like this. And I could I could see them that they are not even breathing at all. They weren't breathing.
Yeah, I mean, like, don't get
It
me
It was
was
wrong.
like
Like,
exciting.
like I said,
Yeah.
it was exhilarating, and I was in it.
yeah.
But if I were
Hmm.
gonna nitpick, those some of those sequences definitely stood out to me. And obviously, I'm biased because I see films a different way, perhaps than
Yes.
a lot of the average viewers. But yeah, don't get me wrong. That sequence was pretty impactful and adrenaline pumping, and I loved the fight style. I mean, it's obviously like he's a mercenary, right? So you're not gonna see like kung fu type action, but Hemsworth, he was in Thor. He was in another action movie, maybe Black Hat or whatever. I don't think that movie was pretty good, but he really sold me on the fact that yeah, he can sell action. Like he
Hmm.
could be the next, outside of the whole Marvel universe, he can be like, that Schwarzenegger, The Rock, or whatever. He really sells his fighting, and at the
He
same
does.
time, he seems invested in the movie, and he's sold me. So part of the exhilaration for me was seeing like Chris Hemsworth in this role and really like selling and being believable that yeah, he can kick
Yeah.
ass.
Yeah, he was extremely believable. He did well in this role, I think.
And yeah, his
Yeah.
handling of the weaponry, like during that whole rescue sequence, I loved the gunplay. I think a lot of those shots actually started off with like Doom and video games, first-person shooters, and then Doom the movie came out. Speaking of The Rock, with The Rock, and they had a lot of that first-person shooter video game type angles in the movie.
Mhm.
So you see a little bit of that here, but I think for people that like gunplay, there's enough of gun. You had sniper rifles, you had rifles, you had Glocks, you had hand-to-hand combat and knives. So it really caters to that or plays up to that, and I thought it was really cool that because I'm a
That's
fan of that
cool.
stuff.
So I have a question for you. In those like movies that you mentioned, uh, did they ever like use like the uh techniques that they did here in this movie? Like try to make I basically I'm interested to see if they In other movies, they try to also make a long scene look like a unified shot, a single shot. Did they do that in other movies that
Oh
have?
yeah, I mean, definitely. Like, I mean, recent ones like 1917, right?
No. I'm not talking about the. Yeah, I know about 1917, but in the other action movies.
Birdman.
Uh,
So what are you talking about? Action specific, you mean?
yeah, action specific. Because I wanna like ask you another question after that.
Yeah, well, I mean, just look at old school, like Chinese kung fu films and stuff. They do a lot of longer sequences, like choreographed stuff. But like I mentioned, one of the most prominent ones was the Korean version of Old Boy, and they had it must have been over 10 minutes. This what they dubbed the hallway brawl, where the main character, it's one guy versus like I don't know, maybe 50 people, and he just goes down this hallway and it's fight after fight, and there's like knives and hammer play and stuff like
Yes.
that. So, and then there was some controversy because when Spike Lee remade it, he decided to put a cut in the middle of that sequence,
Ah,
because he changed levels. I think in the, if I remember correctly, in the Korean version, it's one long hallway, and then in Spike Lee's version, I think it was in a building, and he went to a second level, so there was a cut there.
mhm.
Daredevil on Netflix, that series, they had a similar long brawl. That's all I can think of right now. I'm sure there are more that I'm missing.
Because okay, now it's good to know that now we know that in the past they used to film like these long shots with centering around basically one main character fighting other bad guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
The camera tries to follow that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the genius part about Extraction is coming from the fact that in the in the fight scenes we are not only like following the journey of Chris Hemsworth, we are also seeing that kid is running away and trying to hide. So basically, the kid and the other guy, Sanju, they are all also parts of this. Like their point of view is also part of this
Yeah, it
long
also
shot.
it follows other people too, like random police officers who are chasing them, and
So basically,
doesn't it?
it's not
Yeah,
from a single viewpoint. I think this is the unique part that um for me makes this unique makes Extraction a little bit unique from, for example, a movie like 1917, because in 1917 you follow only two characters and the long shot is basically focusing on them and their journey, but this like long shot specific fight shot, you will it's like that you the camera is like following different people, so that was interesting for me. I don't
Yeah,
know
you
if
know
you
what? And
noticed.
I'm just struggling, but I didn't find anything really unique here in this movie. So I'd have to go through my index of movies to think about transition in terms of like the focus of the action. Like, I guess what you're trying to say is they're pivoting, right? So you'll see Hemsworth and
Yes.
it's tracking of Hemsworth, blah, blah, blah. But then it'll track to the right hand man guy, right? And what
hmm
he's doing. And then it'll track to like the kid running away, you know?
Yes.
It
Yes.
just didn't. I mean, I get what you're saying. It didn't strike me as unique. Maybe it is, but I have to call through my memory of like of action movies. I just know that in the attempt to do that, once again, just back to the nitpicky, the VFX stuff. I'd rather just have a cut instead of like seeing something being forced.
Mhm.
But hey, it is what it is. I didn't expect anything like groundbreaking or anything like that. So we've got this 12-minute sequence. And then he wasn't successful though, right? And I guess part of the props we got to give is we got to give it to the kid too, right? Because there's no
hmm
way Hemsworth goes through all this fucking shit, right? Like battles the. So he basically prevents the right hand man from taking the kid and extracting him
Yeah.
from him, right? And getting screwed over, right? he like hits him with a fucking truck, right?
Yeah.
and you think the dude's like Dunsky and dead. I don't know how he survived that, but
They both get hit by a truck. They both like get pushed off the second floor of a building, and
they're all essentially superheroes in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Chris Hemsworth is not hit by a truck. He hit by like a blue car, like a sedan car.
Yeah, but I mean, like, also, he's been shot, beat up. He gets shot in the neck, fucking falls off a bridge. The dude's basically fucking a superhero, right?
He probably
he's
is
not human.
All his bones are probably, most of his bones are probably broken throughout all the 2 days that this movie takes place.
Please feel free to like and subscribe. Ask these people.
Yeah, hit that button. We want to hear from you.
It's so easy. And you will not get disappointed.
Yes.
Please cut that last part.